Welcome ghosts and ghouls to another episode of Danica Raven's Bite-Sized Horror. This week we have a special guest on the show who will be reading one of his own stories.
Hello, my name is Dale Alexander Denton. Today I'm going to be reading a story of mine called The Enemy of Time. The air was cold and thick as Father Henry Corvin stood at the chapel altar. Through the decadent stained glass windows, the twilight of night peered through in rays of colours of darkened hues. This was an important night for Henry. For months now, he had been following whispers and shadows, piecing together information about his prey. But finally, he believed he had tracked his target down. As he prepared his tools, his spirit felt a glow in pride and self-satisfaction. Tonight, Henry was going to be a hero. Tonight, he was going to slay a monster. Suddenly, the large church doors creaked open, and the father felt a chill run through him as an invisible choir suddenly began to chant ominously around him. When fully opened, her figure slowly strutted in, with dark draping robes trailing behind her as she walked. Though he could not see her face under the raised hood, her movement revealed an impressive confidence emanating from her being. "It is her," Henry's thoughts gasped. The flames of the wax candles themselves almost seemed to dim as she passed by them, gradually drawing closer to him at a deliberate pace. "Away with you, foul creature! You cannot enter here," he called out to her, forcing all the strength he could into his weary voice. He was sure he caught the glimpse of a smile under the hood, just as suddenly she stopped walking. "Can I not? Yet here I stand." Her voice was cool and seductive, yet hidden underneath, frighteningly fierce. A terrible thought danced across his mind for merely a moment before he chased it away. She was in control here. "This be God's house, demon. You have no power in this domain. Pray for the mercy of the all-powerful, that you so wholly don't deserve." His tone was dripping in disgust and rhetoric. She held her fingers round the holy cross, her gaze almost one of wonder and curiosity. "You all place such hope, such absolute faith in these things. Symbols, words of devout power, such shiny baubles. Idea of a divine being, so happy to come down and save you all, like a nightlight from the deep dark." And suddenly, without even the slightest movement, her fingers snapped the cross in half. Outside, the sky itself seemed to instantly turn red, an apocalyptic view intensified for the stained glass eyes watching over him. Mist began to coalesce through the church as the earlier imaginary chorus seemed to chant louder and harsher in his mind as it all began to turn clouded and bleak. Instinctually he gulped, inaudible, yet he was sure she knew. He was afraid, more than he had ever been in his long life. He wished to refute her blasphemy, to condemn her worthless existence even more, but the words refused to leave his throat. He simply stood there, by his altar, as he had for decades preaching the will of his God, staring at the hooded porcelain monster who was ripping his faith apart with a smile. She continued her walk once more, and the mist increased in density. "You see, dear Henry..." "How do you know my name?" He screamed at her, no longer able to hide a trace of his fear before her as she persisted closer upon him. "You've had it wrong all this time. I am God." "Liar!" He almost choked on the word. How dare it? His thoughts were aflame inside his head. The woman knew how her words had upset him, and seemed almost curiously bemused by it. Am I so wrong? I have seen this world throughout ages you could scarcely even imagine a piece of. I am eternal. I walk amongst the ruins of civilizations, unfazed and all-seeing. I hold knowledge that no library could ever hope to hold equal to. And I have power to defy death itself. I am beyond you, your species, your notions of God, mortality, and even time. I take life, and I give it. Am I not God? She was right in front of him now, her holy black eyes staring unflinchingly down into his own, as he was kneeling, practically weeping before her. It had all failed. The words, the water, the symbols, all of it. Even his faith had failed. He had failed, as he clasped his hands together, holding them out to her and whimpering. She began to stroke his face softly, as though she were a mother calming her frightened child. "Do not fear, little Henry. God loves you." She gave him a kind smile before opening her jaw to display her growing, monstrous fangs and plunging them into his neck. The last thing Henry saw as she cradled him and the life drained from his limp body were the walls of the church themselves, seemingly crying tears of blood.
I hope you enjoyed that special guest episode there. Be sure to check out Dale Alexander Denton's new book, The Screams of Silent Souls, and be sure to check out next week's episode for an interview with the author.